Shields up, Ironbreakers. Rurikhan here coming at you with another video. Welcome back to Monster Hunter World Iceborne, and today I'm going to be bringing you my Alatreon guide. Now, I know that a lot of people are going to be wondering, Rurikhan, is this quest soloable? Do I need 4 players to clear this quest? What is the deal? And the answer is his health pool does scale down depending on the number of players in the quest. So technically speaking, yes, he is soloable. He's not going to be scaled for 4 players the whole time. Now, I don't know the exact numbers. I've seen a couple of numbers get thrown around, so take these with a pinch of salt, but I believe it's something like 50,000 if you're solo, 90,000 if there's 2 players, and 118,000 if there's 3 or 4 players. So again, I'm not too sure if these numbers are correct or not, but this is what I've heard so far from the community. I don't really pay too much attention to that. But basically, yes, you can solo him. His health pool is going to adjust to solo play. Having said that, though, he is extremely challenging. Like, to give you guys an idea, I haven't been able to beat him yet. There's like 16 hours or 15 hours of live streams in my channel of me just like going at it, and sometimes I beat him in a group and then I try going solo and I still fail a bunch of times. And you can hear me getting frustrated in a lot of those attempts, and I want to make sure that you guys understand something. Like, when I'm live streaming, I don't really put on a persona. Like, I know that a lot of people put on a persona. When I'm live streaming, it's just me. And if I'm frustrated, that's gonna bleed out into the stream. That's just the way that it is. Having said that, though, like, if I really take a step back and think about the fight, I actually really like it. And I'll do a separate video explaining why and talking about all of that stuff. But in this video, I want to focus mostly on strategy. So a lot of people have told me, Rurikhan, I can deal with everything this dragon throws at me, except that Nova. When I get to the Nova, he just kills me and there's nothing I can do about it. And let me tell you guys one thing. For starters, I don't believe you. I don't think that the Nova is the only problem that you're facing in the fight, because I can tell you right now, if you're mastering everything the dragon is doing, if everything Alatreon is throwing at you is no problem for you to deal with, then just die during the Nova and then come back and beat him some more and you'll win. I guarantee it. If you completely mastered the fight and the Nova is the only thing that's killing you, you can actually kill him. You just die during the Nova, come back and kill him again. But, you know, like I said, I don't believe that that is the problem. There's a lot more to it. The dragon is super fast. He gives you very little openings. It's like if Barioth and Rajang had a baby in terms of how many openings those 2 monsters have for you to wail on them, it would be Alatreon. Like, there's almost no openings whatsoever unless you're doing really good during the fight. There's very few openings unless you're just like constantly flinching him. So now you guys are wondering, okay, so in order to beat the Nova, we have to deal elemental damage, right? Then what am I doing wrong? Okay, so for starters, here's one thing that I think a lot of people still don't understand. There's actually 2 quests for Alatreon. So for starters, there's naturally the special assignment. I'm not even counting that one. The special assignment is going to be whatever the special assignment is, but there's 2 quests. The quests that come after you beat the special assignment are the Evening Star and Dawn of the Death Star. These are 2 different quests, and it is my understanding at this point that not everyone has the same quest at the same time. So the element that you choose is going to depend on the quest that you join. So if you are in the Evening Star quest, it means that Alatreon is going to start as fire. If you are on the Dawn of Death Star quest, it means that Alatreon is going to start as ice. And his starting element is going to be a big decision factor when it comes to choosing the element that you are actually taking into the fight. Now let me explain a little bit more about the fight so that you guys understand what is happening. Alatreon is going to shift between 3 different elements in a very predictable, it's always the same. Like his phase shifting is always the same. So say for instance, you are doing the Evening Star where he starts as fire. He's going to be with the fire element for a bit, and then after a while, he's going to shift into Dragon element, and then after that, he's going to do the Nova, and then after that, he's going to shift into Ice, and then after that, he's going to shift into Dragon again, and then Nova again, and then he's going to go back to Fire. So he's constantly swapping between these 3 elements, and in between each transformation after the Dragon phase comes a Nova. That's how this whole thing works. Now, if he starts as Ice, it's the same thing except it goes Ice, Dragon, and then Fire. Okay? So it's very important to understand the order of elements that he swaps to, because you can't control this. You can control it by breaking the horns of Alatreon during the Dragon phase, and that makes him revert to the previous element. And this is important when we talk about his elemental resistances, which I know that a lot of people are like, what the hell is he even talking about? This all makes sense if you just pay a little bit of attention, okay? So, if he is fire and he goes into dragon and you break a horn, when he novas, he's going to revert back to fire. So you can keep him only in fire and dragon. So what's the advantage of that? The advantage of that is that you can pick an element that deals a lot of damage when he is in fire mode, which then allows you to just deal a lot more damage than you would usually be able to do. So, in order to better understand this, let's take a look at his elemental resistance chart. If you go to your hunter's notes and then you look at Alatreon's resistance chart, you'll notice that there's a switch display button there. And if you press the button, which is triangle for PlayStation and whatever it happens to be for Xbox and PC, you'll notice that it shifts the elements that Alatreon currently has active between fire, dragon, and ice. And you'll notice that the resistances change depending on the element that is currently active. So for instance, when Alatreon is ice mode, your fire damage is going to deal 3 stars, your thunder damage is going to be 2 stars, and he is going to be immune to ice. When he's in fire mode, your ice damage is going to deal 3 stars, water deals 2 stars, and he's going to be immune to fire. And when he's in dragon mode, dragon is going to deal 2 stars damage, and everything else is only going to deal 1 star. So this is why it's so important for you to interrupt the cycle of elemental shifting of Alatreon. Because like, say for instance, okay, so I'm fighting fire Alatreon, so I brought a big, beefy ice element weapon, right? But I didn't break the horns during the dragon phase. That means that he's eventually going to shift into ice. And when he shifts into ice, I'm screwed because I'm not going to be able to deal any damage whatsoever. That's why it's so important for you to choose a good element to deal with Alatreon and breaking the horns. So when people ask me, Rurikhan, what element should I use on Alatreon? There's 2 things that you got to keep in mind. First, what is his starting phase? And second, am I going to be able to break the horn during the dragon phase? And that's pretty much where all of your decision making comes. So if you're just someone who's like, dude, I just want to kill him, I don't want to have to worry about horns, my personal advice, take dragon damage. Go for dragon damage, or go for thunder, or go for water. Because those at least always deal some damage. And if me, with a gun lance, I can reach the elemental threshold to stop the Nova from killing me with a 1-star element, then trust me, literally any weapon in the game can do it. Okay? If I can grab a friggin' little gun lance and I can stop Ice Alatreon, a water gun lance, and stop Ice Alatreon from one-shotting me with his Nova, literally any weapon in the game can do it, because the gun lance is a terrible weapon from an elemental standpoint, okay? So keep that in mind. Any weapon can stop him if you just take one of the global elements. However, keep in mind, if you want to really deal a lot of damage, and if you really want to go after the solo kills and stuff like that, you have to master breaking the horns during dragon phase. There's no other way about it. Now, you can also prepare the horns for breaking, so you can deal a lot of damage to the head during like the phase that is not dragon, and then when he shifts into dragon, you probably have to deal a lot less damage and you'll be able to break the horns. So that's how it goes, but that's how the whole elemental thing goes. So if you're someone that just does not care about all of this, you just want something that works all the time, go for dragon, because during the dragon phase you'll have 2 stars, and during every other phase you'll have 1 star. You should be fine. Or go for thunder, or go for water, depending on whatever weapons you happen to have. So thunder, water, dragons, pretty good all around. If, however, you are someone that knows what you're doing and you really want to deal the big damage, then if you are doing the Evening Star quest where he starts as fire, take an ice weapon. If you are doing the Dawn of the Death Star where he starts as ice, take a fire weapon and go to town and beat the crap out of him and break those horns during dragon phase, and Bob's your uncle. Now, if you do enough damage to, to reach the elemental threshold, you'll notice that the handler will say something like, you're doing really good, or, his power is almost shut down. So there's 2 levels that you can reduce the damage of the Nova, and the Nova is pretty much survivable once you reach the first elemental threshold. If you reach the second elemental threshold, then the Nova is just a joke. Now, another thing that can help you deal with the Nova if it's still giving you problems after all this, first of all, look, if you don't reach the first elemental threshold, there's nothing. Okay, there's just nothing. Maybe if you can stack 4 players and 4 health boosters and everybody's like chomping down on Astera Jerky, maybe, but I haven't really gotten around to testing that out because I need 4 players and comms and all that, and I've mostly been playing with randoms, and I still killed them. A lot of people are like, oh, you can't do anything with randoms. Not true. And hopefully after this video, more people will become more aware of what element to use and all that. But basically, if you don't reach the first elemental threshold, it's like you're screwed. There's very few things that are going to save you from dying to the Nova, okay? So you just got to reach that first elemental threshold. And that threshold, by the way, also scales. So depending on the number of players, there's going to be a bigger threshold that you have to meet. So when you're solo, it's a lot easier for you to reach that threshold if you're doing okay than when you have multiple players, particularly if you happen to be with players that are still using, you know, light break weapons and stuff like that, basically weapons that bring no elemental damage whatsoever to the table, then those players are basically going to be holding you back quite a bit, which is why I've spent like, I don't know, 6 or 7 minutes just going over the elemental chart of Alatreon so that people can hopefully understand that, like, look, you just bring a little bit of elemental damage, like something that can just contribute, like something that you just help. You can even bring, like I said, Thunder, Water, and Dragon. Those help, okay? They might not be the best, but they'll help. It's better than Blast and Poison and other things that people are bringing into the fight, okay? So just really bring elemental damage, particularly if you're going into groups, because otherwise you're just literally dead weight, and when the Nova comes, everybody's gonna die. You can't Farcaster out of it. There's no cheap way to get out of the Nova. You just have to deal with everything. You can't go back to the tent using Farcaster, even out of the Nova, to swap elemental weapons. So keep those things in mind when you go into the Alatreon fight. Now, Health Booster can help you survive the Nova. I've used Health Booster quite often during the Nova, but to be honest, I don't think you need it. Like, if you reach the first elemental threshold and you have a Stera Jerky on you, you'll be fine. Like, just let the thing tick down a little bit, then pop in a Stera Jerky, it'll feel like a friggin' max potion. Or even just use a max potion if that's what you need. Or, you know, spam health potions. I think even just spamming mega health potions should be fine. If you just spam mega potions during the first elemental threshold, you'll still survive. You'll probably waste a bunch of mega potions, but you will still survive, which is the important part. I don't think you need the health booster. I still use it. I think in the attempt that we're seeing here, I'm probably using it as well because it's still on my builds from yesterday. But, you know, once you reach that first elemental threshold, it's not really a problem anymore, and you can just, like, get concerned about the next phase of the fight. That's what you really got to focus on. Now, another thing, do remember that if you happen to die, you know, you didn't break the horns and you died, prepare for the next phase accordingly. So, like, you're going to know what the element is going to be because he always shifts in the same order. Fire, Dragon, Ice, or Ice, Dragon, Fire. He always shifts in these orders. So you'll always be able to tell, okay, right now he's this, after this is going to be Dragon, and after Dragon he's going to be this, depending on whether or not I broke the horns. So if you die, you can adjust your element and bring back something that's stronger for the next phase, which will help you reach the threshold for the Nova faster. So, you know, always keep this stuff in mind, particularly for the people that are soloing, because I know it's going to be very tough. I know there's a lot of people that are going to be trying to solo him. I know that I'm still trying to solo him. But ultimately, if you have the choice, I would advise you to go for multiplayer. But, you know, it is what it is. I've seen a lot of people that said, dude, I sold it. It's not a problem. You just got to practice a little bit. And that might be the case. So anyway, now let's talk about just like general stuff that can help you throughout the fight. One of the things that you got to keep in mind is that he is super fast. He's super fast. Like he can charge you, knock you into the ground, throw like 2 fireballs that before you even get to get back up, and by the time you get back up, he's charging at you again. That's how fast he is. I'm not exaggerating. He's like, you think Rajang was fast, dude? He's faster than Rajang, and he's a black dragon. So, you know, keep that in mind. So just be as agile as possible, or if your weapon, you know, does not have, is just not a very agile weapon, just, you know, be aware of blocking and anything that you can do to mitigate his damage. I've been using Rocksteady with some success here and there, but Rocksteady is extremely dangerous, particularly if you try to clutch his head during the lightning phase. Whenever he's doing lightning attacks, you really don't want to clutch onto his head because he just like spews lightning all over the place in his head. There's just like constant ticking lightning damage in his head during the lightning phase. So you really don't want to clutch onto him during that. Having said that though, when he is doing lightning attacks, in my opinion, that's one of the best openings that you're going to get to hit him in the head. So you don't want to clutch but you do want to be around so that you can kind of like smack his head a little bit to get ready for that horn break if that is something that you want to do. You can wall bang him. There's these tiny little rocks in the scenery, and you can wall bang him against it. As a matter of fact, when you're just like at the very start of the quest, you can wall bang him right from the get-go. What you got to do is you got to pop a rock steady, which I know, or have earplugs, something like that. But get yourself a rock steady or earplugs plus what's the name of that other one? Temporal mantle. And you can slap him twice, and he should be facing a wall. I mean, depending on how long it takes to get down there, because he does roam around. But his initial position is perfectly positioned for you to just pop a rock steady, jump down, wait for him to roar. After he finishes the roar, clutch the head, slap him twice, and flinch shot. You'll get a wall bang right at the start. And then naturally throughout the fight, if you happen to have a good position and you see a wall right ahead of him, then just like go for it, wall bang him, whatever. You can totally wall bang him. You can also flinch shot him out of the air, but like a lot of flyers, sometimes I still don't know exactly what the mechanic is, because sometimes I'm able to do it, sometimes I'm not. Sometimes it seems like, oh, if the monster is at this height, then you can't, and if the monster is this low, then you can. It's kind of weird, but you can flinch shot him out of the air. We've done it multiple times, but there was also a couple of times that I tried flinch shotting him out of the air. He was not enraged, but he just did the whole flyby thing where he doesn't actually fall down. But it is possible to do. You can also flash him out of the air, but he doesn't stay down very long. So like the second you flash him out of the air, he's going to get back up. So have a plan for when you're going to flash him out of the air. Try to figure out, okay, I'll flash him out of the air. What will I do after? Because otherwise, it's not going to be particularly useful. It will get him grounded though. Like he's not going to fly away immediately, but he will get back up and resume his attacks. In my opinion, one of the best places to hit him is the front legs. So if you're able to weaken those and smack him around in those, it's really good because you'll be able to trip him is what I meant. You'll be able to trip him, and then after you trip him, his head is going to be open for you to just like smack those horns as much as you can. So that is another thing that I would try to do as much as often, hit the front legs. It's a really good target. The back legs, not as good, but still decent. So, it all depends on the weapon that you're using, whether or not you're going to be able to do it. And then finally, he's able to utilize all of the elements, right? When he does the water puddles from his water attack, those are flammable. So be careful if he does fire attacks shortly after that, it's going to ignite those, or I think even lightning attacks can ignite those. A lot of stuff can ignite those little water puddles, so be careful when you're around those. If he's about to do some kind of a fire attack, those will inflame and they will deal damage. And the other thing is the icicles that he puts down when he shoots his ice attacks. Those can become charged with dragon energy and they can explode. Now, there's a couple of attacks that he does which are also, they deal a lot of ticking damage, like particularly he's got the fire breath from... It's not the fire breath from Velkhana, but it's very similar. It's not going to slow you down, but it is going to tick down a lot of damage. If your weapon has a shield, you will be able to block it, but you will get knocked back quite a bit. So ideally, you want to get knocked back sideways. So try to block it at an angle so that it pushes you away from the breath, okay? Same thing for the fire attack that he does. Try to block at an angle that you will get thrown out of the attack as opposed to, actually staying there. If you cannot block, then dodge. Dodge as much as you can because the few invincibility frames that you get might be able to save you. Usually I try dodging out of those attacks as much as possible unless I think that I have a better shot at surviving by simply blocking. Another thing, if your weapon is fast enough, if you are really good at getting clutch claws, whenever he does his little attacks where, he's like almost upside down, shooting a breath onto the ground, making a radial type of AoE, you can clutch him in the head. You can clutch him in the head during those times, and you will be able to, do attacks or slap him or whatever. You can do whatever you can do whenever you clutch on something, and you will not take damage. During the fire and the ice attack that he does like that, you will not take damage. He has a couple of unblockable attacks, namely his breath attack, the dragon breath attack. I think it's like dragon mixed with fire, whatever. That particular attack is unblockable. I don't know about his dragon AoE. I suspect that that's not blockable either, but to be honest, I can't remember because I've just been running the shield deco since you can't really you can't really survive with a gun lance. I mean, you can, but I'm just not the best gun lance player in the world to be able to just like dodge every single attack that he does. So I just run with the shield deco. And I actually thought that one thing was really cool. This is not really, like a strategy or anything, but I thought it was interesting that when I started this, optimizing builds for him, I came up with this gun lance build that just does not use shelling at all. It's all about the elemental damage. So I was just like, okay, you know what I'm going to do? I'm just going to do Safi and Kiar Water Gun Lance. And as it turns out, Safi, in my opinion, is like the best armor that you can bring for this fight. But, it is what it is. Also depends on the type of weapon that you're using. I think one of the best weapons to beat this boss, and again, these are weapons that I don't play, so I can only say what I think, is going to be light bowgun and dual blades. Dual blades and light bowgun are probably going to be the best. I think the charge blade, if you're really good at charge blade, is also very good. And there's other weapons that people have had mixed success with, but I think that if you're thinking, like, if you play one of these three weapons, like light bowgun, maybe even heavy bowgun, I don't know. I don't play bowgun, so I don't know. But like, if you play light bowgun, dual blades, or charge blade, I'd focus my effort on those weapons personally. If you're an idiot like me who plays gun lance, then welcome to slapstick, baby, because shelling, in my opinion, not a good idea. But yeah, that's pretty much all the tips that I currently have for Alatreon. Naturally, this thing just released, I was going to say 2 days ago, but technically speaking, it released yesterday. It's just I just started playing at midnight and did not stop. I need a bit of a break. But yeah, as more strategies become available, I'll see if there's anything relevant that I would like to update you guys with. But for now, that is going to be it. Hopefully this helps you guys out. Pay close attention to the start of this video when I talk about elemental weaknesses, because that is literally the most important thing about it. Because like the rest of it is just mechanics. You can figure out mechanics, but if you can't beat the one-shot mechanic, then it's worthless. It's all for nothing. So just make sure that you're bringing an element that is useful. Don't go against, the Dawn of the Death Star with the Kiar Ice dual blades, because you're not going to deal any damage. Okay? So pay attention to how the elemental stuff works on Alatreon. And, enjoy the fight. I'll eventually, like I said, I'll do a video talking about my thoughts on the fight and all of that. But for now, hopefully this helps you guys out. And yeah, if you guys enjoyed the video, hit the like button. If you did not enjoy the video, hit the dislike button. Feedback is always important. If you usually enjoy my content, subscribe, hit the bell notification icon, and all that jazz. I'll see you guys in the next one. Stay strong, stay safe. Peace out.